Okay, welcome to Just One More Thing. I'm your host, Janessa, and this is a podcast about knitting and crafting. And I'm back home in our normal spot at our normal time because sadly, vacation is over. Sad. Am I even looking at the right spot? I am. I thought for a second I was going to do one of those like looking in the completely opposite direction of the camera days, but we're good. Oh, vacation. It's always rough coming back from such a long and relaxing vacation, but you gotta do it. Laundry's got to get done. Kids have to get back in a routine. We're kind of like at that halfway point of summer where it's been fun. And now I'm counting down the days that they go back to school, which this year isn't until August 23rd. So we still got like more than a month. Oh, joy. That's okay though. Warning, there might be some interruptions today because the kids are inside cleaning their room. It's really hot outside and they had their iPads and TV and fun things taken away until they get their room cleaned up. So hopefully they're not too noisy. Right now the air conditioner's running, so you probably can't hear anything over that anyway. Welcome back! Let's talk about knitting, because that's why you're really here. Not to hear me gripe. You're here for the knitting. Which, I only have one. I don't have any finished objects. Nothing there to share. Because it's kind of, technically, it's been a short week. Because I came to you last week a day late. So like a day difference. It shouldn't matter. Still, I only have one work in progress to share. It has had a lot of progress on it though, so let me show you if I can get it untangled. This is the right side. And even on my 60-inch cable needle, it's still almost falling off. So here you go. Huge mammoth. Oh wow, that really did some funky things to the color when I put it back down. The mammoth shawl that I'm doing as a test knit for the Cozy Up Knits. I always want to say the name of their podcast, which is Cozy Up with the Stitchin' Sisters, but I think their designs can be found under Cozy Up Knits on Ravelry. They have quite a few cute ones. You should check them out. They have this adorable Intarsia maple leaf. I call it a beanie. They call it a toque. The hat. And I kind of want to be like, yeah, I'm gonna knit that, even though I'm not from Canada. Totally gonna rock a maple leaf hat. I can get away with it, right? Even if I'm from the States, it's fine. Anyway, this is their mammoth shawl. And you can see it has a cable that you work down the middle. I am nearly to the point where I'm going to turn and put on an edging. And I'm going to share with you one of my little tips when you're working very large shawls and you need to keep track of how many stitches. Once you get up past like 40-50 stitches, it gets really tiresome and tedious to have to count stitches every couple of rows to see where you're at. And especially on shawls where like half the shawl, when you're edging up into like the mid 350s or 400 stitches all the way across your needle, that's a lot of stitches to try and count when you get interrupted a lot by kids. So I have found that when I'm working on a shawl like this and I have a static place where the stitches aren't going to change, where you're not doing increases and decreases on each side, between these two pieces of scrap yarn that I've got tied on here as stitch holders, I've got 100 stitches. And then I only have to count this group of stitches, and when this gets to like 20, I'll put in another little marker, which is what I've done. There, the air conditioning goes off and you can hear me now. So like between those two, I've got 20 stitches. So I know that I've got 120 plus whatever stitches I have here and over here, because that's where my increases are. So it's an easy way for me to like visually say, okay, I've, only got this many more to go. So it just makes it easier counting wise when you keep track of your stitches that way. Most of you probably know that, but if you don't, a handy little tip, even though you don't need the stitch markers to like tell you where in the pattern you are, stitch markers come in handy for counting stitches as well. Throw them on there every 20 stitches or so, help you keep track. So I think I've got like one repeat left of the cable here. So I just finished that one, and then as soon as I do this cable repeat, I think it's like up to this, I don't know what row it is, but I've got to do just like a little bit more of another cable, and then I'll be ready to turn it and put on an edging. Ooh. Let's see how much of this we can get in here. I can't see anything. Is anything even in the frame? It's that big. It's huge. It's called Mammoth for a reason. I'm very excited about it. It's one of those like really warm ones that you can just like wrap around. A funny story. When I was on the way home from Colorado, I was knitting, and Ben said that he was getting a little sleepy. He was going to need me to take over driving. I said, that's fine, but I got to catch a little bit of a nap first. He said, okay. I threw this like over me, like still on the needles and everything. And it was like my blanket in the car so that I could take a nap. It's that big. It's really, really lovely to kind of snuggle up under. So I'm very excited to donate this to my prayer shawl ministry that I knit for, because it's like the perfect somebody needs a hug shawl. In fact, I plan to cast on one for myself to have around for, winter. And I was thinking around last night, and I was like going through my project pages and trying to see what patterns I have that I knit over and over and over again. Like my repeats, because I don't always repeat a pattern. I say I might, but I don't always. And I think the hitchhiker, I've knit like 5 of those. The campsite shawl, which is a really big triangular shawl with like little eyelets in it, I've knit like 6 of those for other people. And I need to knit another one for myself because I actually gave the one that was for myself away. And the hitchhiker, the campsite, and the age of brass and steam. Those 3 patterns are the only ones that I have knit multiples of. And this pattern is definitely going in that pile of I'm gonna knit it again. Yeah, it's nice. It's pretty mindless. Like once you figure out the cable, it becomes pretty easy to read where you are in the pattern and memorize it. I think like after the 5th or 6th one, I was like, yeah, I got this. I'll let you know what I think when I turn it and do the edging cable. Is just a little more complicated looking, but I think that one also, by the time you get like, a quarter of a way past the shawl, you're gonna have it figured out. So it's a really well written pattern. There've been like a couple of, the reason that they're test knitting it is always to find little typos and things, which they found and they're fixing. And by the time they put this out, it's like a full pattern release. It's going to be a pretty amazing shawl. So kudos to you gals for writing up such a great pattern and designing such a fun knit. And I can't wait to cast on another. That is actually the only thing that I've got going on my needle since I've talked to you last. I did work just a little bit on my Free or Fade, but not enough. It looks exactly the same as the last time I showed it. I think I did a row, maybe 2 rows on it. while I was at mom's. It just wasn't as easy to sit and knit on without having to like pay attention to it. So, other fun knitting activities happened while we were in Colorado. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I went to the Fancy Tiger 11th anniversary event and I got a swag bag. My daughter got a swag bag. My mom got a swag bag. We all three got some fun, exciting goodies in those bags. And we made a fun purchase. So I'm going to share that with you. Acquisitions, a segment that I hardly ever have on the podcast. If you're new to the podcast, I don't typically buy yarn. I have quite the stash stored there behind me, and I have been knitting on it for a long time. That shelf behind me full of yarn is not even my full stash. I have a big chest, like a Hope coffee table size chest full of fiber to be spun into yarn, and the iPad right now is sitting on one of those like Rubbermaid 3-drawer college dorm room type organizers that is also full of yarn. And I have a thing under the bed that's full of yarn as well. So I have no shortage of yarn to knit from. Plus all of the prayer shawls that I do, that yarn is donated to the group. So I don't really have a need to buy more yarn typically. So I don't do much in the acquisition department, but I was going to a new yarn store. It was a fun experience. It was the anniversary, and they had a lot of yarn in stock that I have thought about buying often in the past, but kind of was like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna really like it. Like, I haven't been able to feel it or touch it. And I'm always nervous about buying new yarn that I don't know much about online. So I've always kind of been like leery of, well, I don't know if I'll really like it. Everyone says they like it, but I don't know if I'm really gonna like it. Should I get it? So this is kind of my chance to feel and touch all of those yarns. And yeah, I brought some. I got some. I struggled with, like, I had a budget of what I could, spend. And then my mom ended up buying it anyway. Thank you, Mom, if you're watching. Thank you again. So I guess I didn't need to worry about that quite so much, but I did have a budget in mind, and it was a big toss-up between like buying that super one special skein of like indie dyed yarn or trying out several more commercial type yarns that I have been wanting to order online. Like, what should I do? I ended up going with the more commercial yarns. So without further ado, let's talk about the 11th anniversary event at Fancy Tiger. First, the swag bags. So this one, I believe, was mine. It had, that was an acquisition. Okay, yes. So I kind of swapped this out of my mom's. I traded some other goodies in my bag for this yarn that came in my mom's. It was Genmo. I've never heard of it before. It's a new brand to me. It's this lovely soft gray. It's 100% merino, 50 grams, 165 yards. So there's some info about it. It says the very soft yarn made from twisting merino wool, very little. Name comes from texture and softness like a raw wool before spinning. Genmo means raw wool in Japanese. So I guess it's a Japanese yarn. Daruma offers wool yarn manufactured in Bishu, the main production area of woolen fabric. So, you can kind of see there what I was reading. Anyway, it was a new to me yarn, and it's very, very soft, and I love it. And the reason that I traded my mom for it, one, she doesn't knit, was because in Brooklyn's bag, we'll find it here in a second. She also got a skein of the yarn in a different color. So I wanted to have both of them so that I could make a pair of mittens that I'll show you here in a little bit. Hers seems slightly larger to me for some reason. It's the same put up, just the ball's a little unsquished. Okay, so going back to my bag, each bag had a magazine from Ashford about wheels and looms, and it gives some pretty interesting articles in here about, there's some knitting patterns for sweater. So I think it's just like the normal like magazine that Ashford puts out, talking about color work for sock blank and how to go about making, you know, the perfect sock blank. It shows kind of how the sock blanks were made. So some interesting articles in that, and each bag had one of those. Each bag also came with a pattern from Wool and the Gang, and each one out of the 3 bags that we got, each one was different. I got this one for making a clutch. I can't remember what Brooklyn's was. I know the one in Mom's was like a stocking, like a Christmas stocking pattern, and it came with a darning needle in the pattern in each of those. Each one also came with a little brown bag that had an advertisement for Coco Knits Sweater Workshop, which is a book of, I'm guessing, how to knit a sweater. And it also came with stitch markers in that, which I've already like broken out and used, so mine aren't in there anymore. I got, and this is where things kind of started, like everyone got something different. I got this little kit to make that little gnome. It actually says there's enough in here to knit 2 gnomes. It's from Mochi Mochi. And you can see there it comes with like the little eyes and the stuffing and all the yarn and the pattern that you need to make that little gnome. Of all the Mochi Mochi patterns, I've never really knit them, but I have admired them for a long time, and this little guy is always my favorite. On Facebook, and I think on Twitter, maybe even Instagram if you follow them, they do little stop motion animations of the little Mochi Mochi characters doing things, and there's one that I think comes out around Valentine's Day that's this little gnome like knitting a heart and then goes into like a balloon and floats up. That's always my favorite. I love that. So I was pretty psyched to get the little gnome. I'm actually gonna like crochet a little loop on his hat and make him a Christmas ornament for my Christmas tree. So I can't wait to work on him for that. And then I got 3, picked up a little button. Oops, there we go. Fancy Tiger Crafts button. I got 3, I'm assuming they're fat quarters, I haven't unfolded them, but they're about that size, fabrics. Not sure what I will do with those. I will come up with something. They're really cute fabrics. Um, I know nothing about fabrics or brands. So for the fabric, if you're a fabric person and you know like what this means, tell me. Enlighten me, please. Oh, I do know cotton and steel. I've heard much about them. So that one is cotton and steel fall 2015, it looks like. And now that I've unfolded it, I'm never going to get it folded up nice and neat like it was. And then this other, there we go. It has this button on it, so I don't know if that button means anything as far as like the type of fabric it is. I'm guessing that it does, but I don't. Andover Fabrics, does that mean anything to anybody? I'm really like not a fabric-y person. I love shopping for fabrics. I can go into a fabric store and spend all day like just oohing and awing over prints. The problem is when you get fabric, you're supposed to sew with it. And my sewing skills are not great. My aunt is an amazing quilter. My mom can pretty much do anything like hem pants, make curtains, like all those basic sewing things that you should just be able to know how to do. She's great at that. She's tried to teach me. Basically, my sewing machine and I have this love-hate relationship with each other. I have made things, they're just not great. And yeah, my sewing machine and I just kind of have this love-hate relationship going on, where I love the idea of making things on my sewing machine, and my sewing machine hates how inept I am at doing that. So we fight, me and my sewing machine. I think I can probably like figure out and make something with these though. They're very nice fabrics. Then I got this pattern for making a tote bag. But as we've discussed, this might be slightly above my ability. So who knows? I might gift it to somebody or something. We'll see. Let's see what else I have in here. Oh. Whenever you made a purchase, and I believe it was online purchases and in-store purchases, you got a cute little fancy tiger button. You are woolly cool, is what it says. So that was my swag bag. Let me put all of this back, and I'll show you what Brooklyn got in hers. Put the yarn back. Okay. So you've already seen the yarn that she got. She also got the magazine that everyone received. She also got that same bag pattern to make a purse. That was stuff. We were at Hobby Lobby and she picked up things on how to make earrings because she's into making jewelry these days. That wasn't part of the swag bag. Back to the actual swag bag. So I haven't stole her stitch markers yet, but that little paper bag came with 10 each of large and small stitch markers and open stitch markers, like the little safety penny ones. So that was in every bag. Her pattern was for the Love Me Tender wrap. So I'm kind of excited about that because I like wraps. Interesting. Her book is blank. Is mine blank? I don't think mine's blank. Nope, mine's not blank. Interesting. I might have to email Wool and the Gang and be like, you forgot to print the pattern. Whoops. Okay, back to the good stuff. She got these two. Looks like a charm pack of fabrics and a fat quarter from that same, I already forgot the name of it, Andover Fabrics. And then she got a spool of thread. It's pretty blue thread that matches the fabric. She got, I was surprised, like I was like, that really was in your bag? Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. She got like a whole book all about cross stitching. It's got, I'll kind of just flip through it real quick. It's got technique, it's got projects, it's got tips, it has patterns, all kinds of different fun stuff in there, all about stitching. It goes through embroidery and cross stitching. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, much to her chagrin, she was like, why did I get this pattern? She's 10, so she was a little embarrassed by it, but she got a pattern for making your own bra. She's like, but I don't need that. So anyway, that was one of the patterns in there. Who knows? She might need it someday. So we actually didn't know if we were going to get swag bags. The invitation on Instagram said the first 100 people in line. We left, my mom lives like an hour and a half north of downtown Denver. So we left pretty early. The doors opened at 10, and I think we left her house at 7:45, and we got there just before 9 o'clock. And there was already a line, and I posted this on Instagram, so you might have seen the picture. There was a line from the front door all the way to the end of the block and all the way back. And by the time the doors opened, it was going around the building. So, huge line of people waiting in line early. And my mom basically like pulled over and let me out, and then she was going to go find parking. And I was counting on the way back, and I got to 100, probably about 20 people before the end of the line. And I was like, oh, bummer. We got here this early. I'm not going to get a swag bag. Oh, well. Whoops. Sorry about that. But then as we're waiting in line, someone mentioned that they heard that there were extra bags that they didn't know about for sure. And so I went on Instagram again and, went to their page and saw they had a post that was like the first 150 people were going to get bags. So then I got kind of excited again because I was like, I think I'm in that 150. And pretty soon somebody from the store comes out and starts handing out tags to everyone so they can count and see who was already in line. And sure enough, I was 126, Brooklyn was 127, and my mom was 128. So we had tags, so we knew we were going to get swag bags. We were super, super excited about that. Um, Made it totally worth getting there early. And my mom had never really, like, she loves crafting and she's really into art. You guys saw some of her art last week. Um, but she just, doesn't quite get the, like, we're going to go wait in line for yarn phenomenon. She knew it was something I was excited about, and so she went along with it and had fun. Um, but yeah, Brooklyn and I were like really excited that we were gonna get some swag. So then we got inside the store, we got our bags. It was really crowded. I do want to go back at some point when it's just like a normal day and really shop. But I got to see quite a bit of yarn that I've been wanting to get my hands on and see and touch and feel. And there was a huge selection of fabrics. There was lots of stitching. There was even spinning and like needle felting. So all kinds of fiber crafts, not just yarn. It was a really gorgeous store. And I'm kind of gonna intersperse some video and some pictures and things here as I'm talking so you can kind of see what it was like. I ended up picking out some yarn to buy, and then as we were waiting in line, I was like flipping through a magazine. I was like, oh, I've been wanting this magazine. Someone was like, well, get it. So I ended up getting the magazine as well. Brooklyn even found something that she wanted to purchase thanks to a mom and her daughter in front of us had found something, and then Brooklyn was like, oh, well, I want that. So even Brooklyn found something. She found, let me kind of untangle it a little bit, Cozy the cat. I don't know if that's the actual name of it, but she's named it Cozy. And basically it's just a little like wooden cutout with the holes, and it came with 2 different colors of yarn and a needle, and it teaches you how to cross stitch. It came with like a little booklet that had all kinds of patterns that you can follow, or you can like make up your own, but it kind of just shows you how to do the little cross stitches. It's from Moon Picnic is the maker. I believe you can order online if you don't have them in your local stores. But yeah, so that's been kind of a fun, even I've stitched on it. It's kind of fun and entertaining. It's nice to be able to do something and then easily take it out and do it again. And that, it's like hours and hours of entertainment. And it does teach you like where you need to start from and like how to cross and how to do like a whole row and then cross back, or how to do individual ones. So that was kind of cool. The magazine in question was the 3rd edition of Making, which was their dots. Number 4 is coming in fall of 2017. It will be called Lines. And I think, yeah. Let's see if I got that on there. Makingmagazine.com. Can you hear the kids? They're just, they're being noisy. Anyway, I've seen this magazine on several other podcasts. I've been wanting it. They have all kinds of fun projects in here. As you noticed, it's not just about knitting and sewing. They also have things that you can make. It's all kinds of making. It's not just one craft. It's all the crafts. And as I was flipping through here, let me see if I can find it. I found so do you remember that gray and blue yarn that I showed you? How adorable will it be if I make mittens out of it? It's the perfect color combo as well. Let me pull it back out. So this pattern, it is almost this one's a little more blue, where the pattern's more navy. But yay! I'm gonna totally make mittens out of this. So that was one purchase, was the making magazine. I also really want to make this wrap. And that one. Little dots on it. I've had that one liked since I saw the picture of it, and I'll be honest, it was kind of the reason I bought the magazine. But when I found the mittens and this wrap, whoops, I was like, well, then it's worth it. I found 3 patterns that I can make. So I bought the book, and then I had in mind that I really, really, really wanted to feel and touch and look at all of the Brooklyn Tweed yarn. I've kind of been one of those that's like, oh, I think I'm gonna love it, but then what if I buy it and I don't like it? But what if I love it? But what if I don't like it? But what if I, you know, like I kind of went back and forth on it. So I picked up a skein of Loft in this gorgeous dark purple color. And this was going to be like the one thing that I got. I was going to get this, and I was going to get something for Brooklyn, and that was going to be it. Like, my one precious skein. But then my mom was like, no, like, I'll get you some yarn. You can go pick out some more. Go get some more. And so I was like, oh, well, in that case, I also had kind of been wanting to see if I liked Quince from, you know, Quince & Co. yarn. I see a lot of people making sweaters out of it and really enjoying it and liking it. And it's kind of one of those nice mid-range, like this. Oh, here I'm showing you. The Brooklyn Tweed and the Quince kind of seem like really nice mid-range yarns. Like, they're not so expensive that they're going to break the bank, but they're not bargain yarn like Knit Picks is. Don't get me wrong, I knit with a lot of Knit Picks, but it is a bargain yarn. You get what you pay for. So yeah, I was excited to pick up that, and then I got these two, which are Quince & Co. Owl. It says 50% American wool, 50% New Zealand alpaca, which I don't typically like knitting with alpaca, but when it's blended with something, it's fine. This one is in the Rose Bay color, and this one is called Canyon. So Rose Bay and Canyon, and Loft in Plum. Let's get all the tags out of the way. There we go. I really like how those 3 colors work together. So I am searching for smallish, because it's only like, I think 500 yards between all of those. They're all 50-gram put-ups. So I'm looking for smallish shawl patterns to make out of this. One of them might be that 3-colored wrap that I showed you in here that I won't be able, oh, I right to it. So maybe that one. That might be a good one to make. The Indigo Sea Shawl. 102. I don't even know how many yards it calls for. This says that you need oh, it's perfect. It calls for 1 skein in each color that are about 50 grams, 181 yards, so about 540 yards total. So I think maybe that. Boom. Decided. We're going to make a purple indigo shawl. So those are my yarn purchases there. Yay! I have fun yarn to knit with. I can't wait. While we were shopping around, my mom also came up to me and she was like, oh, look, she has a friend who really likes sloth, like the three-toed sloth. It's kind of like a funny, I don't know, it's like her animal or something. And they had a needle felting kit for a sloth. So she didn't understand what needle felting was, my mom. And so she thought it was like a knit thing that then you washed and it felted. I was like, not quite. I don't think you know what you're getting yourself in for. And I explained it to her and I showed her, and then she was like, oh, no, that's not what I want at all. So I talked to her and I said, I can knit you a toy. Like, I brought up a pattern on Ravelry and showed it to her, and she loved it. But we decided that for what the lady was going to use it for, we didn't want to use wool yarn. We didn't want to buy the yarn there at Fancy Tiger. We were going to get like an acrylic so that it could be washed, because I think it's going to be like a baby toy. And so we went to Hobby Lobby. Not my favorite store, but that's where we went, and we picked up sloth yarn. So the gray and the brown are going to be like the main body of the sloth, and then the white is for his toes and his face. And I'll throw up a picture here of the sloth that we're going to knit. Well, I'm going to knit and send to her. This is just Hobby Lobby's Yarn Bee, like their brand yarn. It's in the Brushworks, and it is 100% acrylic, I believe. Oh, no, 80% acrylic, 20% alpaca. So it does kind of give it a nice kind of fuzzy animal feeling to the yarn. So I think that'll make a cute sloth. So that's kind of one of the next projects that's going to be on my needles. You're going to be seeing the sloth. You're going to be seeing that new wrap out of my fun Fancy Tiger purchases. And eventually you'll see mittens out of that. Oh, so much knitting in the queue. And I still have to get the Mammoth Shawl done. I've got the Glamour wrap on the needles still, and I've got my Free Your Fade shawl. So I have so much knitting to get done and to do. It's going to be a busy rest of the summer, which also means I might meet my Stash Dash goals. I think so. I think we're going to get there. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to share with you. Yarn-wise, nope. There was no spinning. There was no, all I knit on was the Mammoth Shawl. So, the rest of the vacation was really, really fun. We went, let's see, the day after I talked to you, which was on Wednesday, Thursday, we took a road trip, Ben, the kids, and I. We went down to Garden of the Gods near Colorado Springs. So that's about 2 hours from where my mom lives. And our plan, when we left that morning, we were going to go down. We were going to see Garden of the Gods. I wanted to eat lunch at the Trading Post there in the park of Garden of the Gods, because it's like the oldest trading post. So we did that. And then we were going to go see the, it starts with an M, the Cliff Dwellings, the Manitou Cliff Dwellings, which when I looked online, it looked like it was free to do all of that. Like, you know, other than eat lunch, like you would have to pay for your lunch. But to see the Trading Post and the Garden Gods and the Cliff Dwellings was all supposed to be like free. Well, we get down there, we went through Garden of the Gods. It was a lot of fun. The kids thought it was pretty cool. We didn't do much hiking around in there. We did a little bit, but it was super crowded that day. So we really didn't do much hiking wise. We just kind of drove through the park and saw the visitor center. Went and ate lunch at the Trading Post. And then we got up to the Cliff Dwellings and they were charging admission. And we were like, well, we did not come prepared for that. So we kind of turned around and we didn't see the Cliff Dwellings, unfortunately. it was also pretty crazy expensive. More expensive, and I get why they charge for stuff like this. It's to, maintenance, and so taxpayers don't have to pay for it. Um, I get that. But we were going to do uh, Pikes Peak. It was like to drive up it, which is pretty hard on your car wear and tear wise. Was going to be like $50 to drive up mountain and back down again. And we were like, no. No thanks. So we kind of like pointed it out to the kids. We're like, that's Pikes Peak. And then we decided, well, like that kind of cut our whole afternoon to pieces, not being able to do those things. So what should we do? Let's take a scenic drive through the mountains. Ben had never really been over on the western slope. I have never, even though I grew up in Colorado, I never kind of went over the divide very often. And so US 24 cuts through Colorado Springs, and it also cuts through down here in Missouri. So Ben's kind of like, well, let's take 24 and just see where it goes in Colorado. So we took 24 up over a pass to the western slope, kind of wound our way north, and ended up, we went through Leadville. We saw a really scenic basin, like it was at 9,000 feet, I think was this. It was kind of cool because you come up over this mountain, you just see wide, open, flat area and mountains all around. So that was kind of an experience that the kids didn't find nearly as entertaining as Ben and I did. But we wound our way up like to Leadville and kind of saw some of the old mining stuff. I can't remember some of the other towns that we went through, but eventually we went over to Boulder, and we went up over the Loveland Pass. So instead of going through the Eisenhower Tunnel like we did that last spring when we were out there, this time the pass was open, so we went up over Loveland Pass. And when you get out of your car and you climb up a set of steps, it takes you to 12,000 feet. So we did that. The kids got to see snow in July. Ben was much more excited about seeing snow in July than the kids were. I was nice and cozy in my Hohi wrap. I took pictures. So the Hohi has been to 12,000 feet. So we did that. We kind of went back down and wound our way back through Boulder Canyon, which was pretty scenic. So that was kind of this really fun, like almost 400-mile, like spur of the moment road trip through the mountains. I liked it. We got lots of fun pictures. The next day, we decided to do something that was a little more elevation friendly because the kids' ears, they didn't like having their ears pop. So the next day we went north of my mom and went for a scenic drive in Poudre River Canyon by Fort Collins. And this was the place that when I was growing up, my dad took us for picnics and for camping and for like, let's go to the mountain randomness. It was a bit of a nostalgia trip for me. I drove so that Ben could sightsee on the way up there. We stopped a lot. Like the day before, we kind of just drove and looked out the windows. This time we stopped a lot. And the nice thing, if you're in Colorado or going to Colorado for vacation, the nice thing about Poudre River Canyon is that the river, you get to see some whitewater, and it runs really close to the road, so you can kind of view that. But there's also a lot of places where it runs really slow, and it kind of weaves its way in, and there's really like slow spots where you can kind of wade in the river. It's very icy cold. But the kids had fun getting to put their feet in the water and pick up stones and throw them into the deeper parts and all that kind of fun stuff. So they had a blast on that day because getting to put their feet in a river, that was so cool. So yeah, we did that. We kind of picnicked up there, and then Saturday we did the Fancy Tiger extravaganza and lots of shopping. And then we came home Sunday. So it was a really nice vacation. I really enjoyed it. and now it's back to reality. So I will see you again next week at the regular place and the regular time, and with much more knitting progress, maybe even an FO. Anyone want to take bets on whether or not I can get the mammoth done in a week? I'm nearly there. I pretty much just have to put on the edging. We'll see. So much more knitting next week, possibly an FO, and we'll get back into our regular schedule, I promise. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the episode, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with a friend. The community of people who watch this podcast is slowly growing. Oh, funny. Some of you might be watching because my mom told you to. We were at Fancy Tiger and she kept telling everyone, my daughter has a knitting blog. She doesn't get the difference between a blog and a podcast. Bless her. I love her. But she doesn't get the difference. So people are like, oh, you're the one that has the blog. I'm like, no, it's a podcast. So if any of you are watching that I met at Fancy Tiger, hello. And thank you for joining in. My mom will be pleased. So many people took her advice. So yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will see you again very soon. Hang out after the end slide, and I'll like do a little vacation slideshow. You don't have to hang around for it if you don't want, but if you do, there will be pictures.
What?
Oh, that's for the home collection? Okay.
Cool. For the home collection. Now,
Yeah.
the others want, I'm making a new art collection to take home. Yeah, I pretty much have a new art collection. Oh. Really one over here. I like this one. Because it's the main one. I said I'm going to have the sand.
That's right. You gotta stay where it's sandy. Because it drops off and gets deep and fast, and the water gets fast. You gotta stay where the water's slow and it's not deep.